Today, we're going to be talking about something really important for anyone starting a business, and that is business values. So, before we jump into this topic, I want to tell you guys a little bit about how I kind of got on this idea. My son's here for the summer, and we were sitting down, I believe it was Monday, and we were talking about like what he wanted his values to be. He's 15 years old, getting older, kind of, teetering that teenager, young man space. And so we were talking about values and why they matter and why they are so important. I was like, oh my goodness, this would be an excellent topic for a YouTube episode. I really decided that I was going to lean into that. And one of the things that my son and I were talking about was the fact that understanding what your values are helps you so much in your decision making process. We were talking about how, as he understood what the values were for him, what things were important for him, he would be able to really quickly understand, when it came time for a decision, what are the things he wanted to be a part of, the people that he wanted to spend time with, who he wanted to invite into his circle. And again, it just was making all of these parallels to the business world for me. So that's what really got me starting on this idea and kind of thinking about this topic of business values. Now, we know that we all have to have them, right? Like, I don't think there's anybody out there who feels like, values aren't important, but how do you go about deciding what they are? How do you really lock in on the ones that are most meaningful to you? And how do you actually like use them to like execute and be a part of your business DNA, for a lack of a better term? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So when we think about values, right, there are these big ideas that help us to make good choices, and not good in the sense of like right or wrong and all of that. And yes, that's important too, but good in the sense of what are those choices? What are those decisions that are going to most align to your business, what it is that you're trying to do, how you're trying to serve the world, and ultimately will really connect with your audience. So why does this matter? A couple things. Three reasons that I kind of lean into when I think about why they matter. They really help you to make strong, smart, and simple decisions. So, going back to this idea of making sure that your values align with what it is that you're trying to do, that's where this comes in. And, I had an opportunity maybe about 3 to 4 months ago to be a part of a really interesting podcast and get to do this really cool project. And as I learned more about the business, I realized that we did not have a lot of the same values, if any, right? There were things that they believed in, things that they were trying to do with their business that didn't align to things that I felt were important, and some that were maybe even a little contrary to my values. And so I decided to step away and, no longer be a part of that project. And sometimes it's so black and white like that, right? Sometimes you're going through along this path and you realize there's, a lack of harmony there, and it helps point you back in the right direction. And sometimes it's a little bit more subtle. But at the end of the day, understanding what your values are, understanding what's important to you can help you when it comes to decision making. For those of us starting out, right, if you're kind of in a newer business perspective, you may not have, a team that you're working with. But if you do, having those values, being able to articulate them will also help you to create some trust among your team. It'll help the team really thrive, and the team will know right off the rip like what's important to you, what those expectations are, in large part through your values. And then your customers, right? It's really important too for your customers, the people that you're showing up for every day, the people that you're called to serve. And when you think about your customers and how values play a part in that with your customers, it helps to show them who you are, the things that you care about, and why you're special, right? What helps to stand you apart? What makes you different from other people out there? And what are the things that are important to you as a business so that they can make sure that there's alignment for them as well too. And guys, when you know your values, it's easy to do the right thing even when things are tough. And again, right isn't just, a right or wrong, but even right in terms of your business, right? What makes the most sense for you? What makes the most sense for your business, your goals, and the way that you are, really pushing and trying to get your offers and your services out to the marketplace. So, all right, we got a good understanding now why they're important, why we care about them, why our customers care about them, why our teams care about them. What do you actually do to find your business value? So, a couple things that I do, I like to break it down, you know how I am. So the first thing, pause, ponder, and picks, right? So when we think about pause, that is just taking a moment, sitting quietly and thinking about what matters the most to you. I personally love to go sit outside, work in the garden, things like that, and just, take some time. Maybe you go in front of a whiteboard, grab a pen and paper. What are some of the things that you want your business to be known for? Almost like a brand, but not quite, right? Maybe you ask yourself when it comes time to ponder, like, what do you want your business to stand for? When people say my business name, what do you want them to think about? And really take some time and be honest with yourself. And then from there, go ahead and pick the words that feel right to you. And these will be your top business values. And there's tons out there, honesty, kindness, teamwork, high value, right? So many different ways that you can choose how you want to show up. But take some time, really think about that. And, if you haven't done that already, I encourage you to do that. As soon as this video is over, maybe you have done that before and you feel like, maybe it's not aligning to who you are as much as you would like. Go ahead and go back through this process. There's nothing wrong with changing or tweaking. Now, you don't want to change every day and just be all over the place. But if there's moments where you don't feel aligned, take a look at your values, take a moment to pause, ponder, and pick and see, okay, when I stop and ask myself these questions, are there areas where I need to change? Or maybe even, and this kind of gets into the next part, maybe there's areas and things that I've decided that I want to be known for, but maybe I'm not presenting myself that way. Maybe there's a difference in the way that I need to show up moving forward. And that ties right into step two, which is all about sharing, showing, and shine, right? So share, tell your team, tell your friends about your values, get their feedback, right? When you say, hey, this is the way that I want to show up, this is the business values that are most important to me. See if there's others that they say, hey, you actually really lean into, value X. Why isn't that on your list? And maybe you adjust your list. Take their feedback. They probably know you, better than most. Okay. So lean into that, friends, families, team, mentors, even. And then that show part is all about using your values in the things that you do every day. So, if you're talking about, you have some of your values around being honest or, hard work, things like that. So make sure you're showing that in your day to day. Are you presenting yourself with honesty? Are you putting 100% into what you're doing from a hard work perspective? How are you helping others? If giving back is something that you list as a value, right? So there should definitely be a connect rather, where you're doing and showing the exact same things that you're talking about and the same exact things that you've written down as near and dear to yourself. And then the last thing on that is that shine piece. So let your values shine in your work, your words, and your choices. People will notice, right? Like if there is a disconnect, if you're saying all this stuff over here and it's completely different from what you're doing, they're going to notice that. There should be full synergy between the values that you hold near and dear to you and the way that people see you presenting yourself and the way that people see you focusing on different aspects of your business. And then the last thing is all about making sure you're leading with your values, right? So be a leader by using your values to make choices. And we talked about that in the beginning, but this is where, when it comes time to make the decisions, whether it's, a new offer that you want to put out, maybe it's a partnership that you're looking at, maybe it's a new, way that you want to present something to your customers. Does it tie into your values? Is there synergy there? Are there areas where maybe you need to tweak? And then again, making sure that you're using those values to lead those decisions as you move forward. So, okay, quick recap here. Values, they're the rules that we have about our business, the way that we want to show up. We use them to make choices for us, for our business, and make sure that we're fully aligned across, across that aspect there. And when you're thinking about it, it's all about, pausing, pondering, and picking to find your values. Take some time to do that if you have not already. If you have and you feel that there's a disconnect, go back to the drawing board. It is okay to go back and say, are there values that I forgot about? Are there values that, maybe aren't as important as I thought there were, and I need to reprioritize? Don't be afraid to tweak and adjust if you feel that there's some disconnect between the values that you say you hold near and dear and the way that you're actually showing up to the customers and in the marketplace. So it is now your turn. Again, I encourage you all. I welcome you. Grab a piece of paper, go to your whiteboard, open up OneNote, whatever that looks like for you. Write down 3 words that you want to use as your business values, what you want to use, excuse me, for your business to stand for. Share them with the friends, say them out loud. That is the first step of building a business that you are proud of. So again, whether that's a friend, family member, a mentor, even share what those values are. Would love to see those from all of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this helped when it comes to creating those values, the importance of the values, and maybe if you've had it on your to-do list, hopefully this video will be that push and that encouragement to go ahead and get it checked off today. But thank you guys all for watching, and I will see you later on this week.